mateys, we are back. It's week 13 in the crow's nest. I'm here, Lil Ricky, as always. I've got Hanker beside me. And this week, we've got another very special guest. This guy, first of all, he looks beautiful. So when you see this video, you're going to see him rocking a 21 Cowboys jersey, Zeke Elliot. He's told us before the show he is in 4 fantasy leagues, so he's creeping right up with me there. And yeah, I guess let's put it together for Mr. Curtis Stobo.
Thanks for having me, boys. Excited to join you for this one. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. So I guess before maybe we get into the questions and all that stuff, Curtis, give us a little bit of what got you into football, how long you've been watching, kind of what team you cheer for, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, back in university, I had a buddy who was a diehard Eagles fan. And I was looking for a kind of go-to football team, ready to get into it. So that was probably 7 years ago or so. And the Cowboys were 8-8. I didn't want a bandwagon. I knew I had a big rival with my friends, so I just said, you know what? Let's pick the Cowboys, stick with it, and just been go hard for the last 7 years here. So ready to see a couple Cowboys come up tonight.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of like when I started liking soccer and picked Manchester United, just out of a whim,
Yeah, it's that
cool
going.
about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just go with the most profitable sports franchise of all time. Sure, the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm a Lakers guy too. I don't know. It's just something about the colors.
Stobo, have you been to any live games? Do you ever make it out or?
Yeah, so I went to one Cowboys game in Dallas. I actually was at a Texas A&M game the night before and broke my leg. So I had to walk up to my seats with a broken leg, thinking it was a sprain. Flew home, found out it was broken, got a blood clot from the flight. So that was just a picture-perfect trip down to Dallas. And then I went to a second one in Philadelphia where Dallas played Philly there. Got in a car crash that totaled my car, and I had to drive my totaled car 8 hours home. So my track record with the Cowboys games are pretty solid.
Yikes. Well, okay. So the broken leg. I mean, that didn't actually happen at that game. Walk us through the
Yes,
festivities there.
we were at Texas A&M Alabama game, wild game, like just biggest game you could go to there. And afterwards, we were at the bar, and it was just a bunch of people kind of two-stepping around. And some lady tripped and just kind of came right across my legs, and just, yeah, complete chop block. And
now, is she Texas size? Like, what bigger girl?
She was Texas sized. Couple Big Macs. But yeah, so that was a good experience.
Oh man! And then
So
total the car in Philly, and I can't imagine being a Dallas fan in Philly with a totaled car. You're gonna have a rough time no matter which way you play that one. So you're 0 for 2 right now, I guess. 0 for 2.
0 for 2, and I didn't tell the mechanic when I was down there as a Cowboys fan. They did it all for free, thinking we were good guys. So I was making sure nobody said a thing about who my team was.
And it's no joke either, right? Like, I think in Canada anyways, usually there's like with hockey, it's like kind of tongue in cheek, you're a Sens fan, whatever. They like legitimately will treat you badly. It's scary. Like, I thought it'd be kind of fun. Like, we're going to a Bills game in a couple weeks. I thought it'd be fun to get a Jets jersey, but I'm like, I'm not gonna. No, like I'm someone. Like, this is gonna be a bad time. Someone's gonna take it way too seriously, and I'm gonna end up, Stobo at the broken leg and car accident.
It's destined.
All right. Well, there you go. I mean, okay, Cowboys fan, not the best luck. Tell you what, if the Bills ever play the Cowboys, we'll have to do one of those games and get out there. I know Hanker and I were hemming and hawing this year about maybe going down to Dallas for a game, but yeah, I'd love to make it down there. With that, let's get into it. Let's get into this one. So this week coming up, it's going to be the first week of December. So we kind of tapered off a little bit towards the end of November. People saving their money for Christmas gifts or whatnot, but we're going to try and ramp things back up. So the winner last week was Big Al's Booty. We're actually going to donate that $40 from that pot into the week 1 December. So that week 1 December winner is going to be an additional $40 in there with your name on it. So we're going to try and drum up some more there. And then not to get into it too much, but week 14 we're going to do a special prop sheet. It's going to be all geared towards the Bills Jets game. So keep that one in mind. And I know we've got a couple people that are going to that game in person, Hanker and I included. So we're hoping that December is going to be good. But we'll jump right in. Week 13. We kind of hemmed and hawed at this one last week, but it's finally time. Deshaun Watson is back in the uniform. He'll be playing for the Browns coming up on Sunday. And we start question one with, will Deshaun Watson be sacked 3 or more times in that game? So the guy definitely knew how to empty the sack, I guess, at the massage table. That's been, I shouldn't joke about that, but it is pretty funny. Um,
You've
Fellas,
got
any
the
comment?
Well, just the like you always have a way of picking supplementary media to complement the questions, and you've chosen the exact photo that comes to mind, the tailgate party where somebody has taken the time to procure a mannequin, a massage table, and you can fill in the blanks for the rest. Find it, see it for yourself at pirate.ca. Um, I can't believe that's real. That people like surely there's one person that took it too far, and everyone else was like too afraid to tell him you can't do this, man. This is a little fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look like the good guy at a party, I think you got to go the over just to celebrate it a bit. I mean, if you're booing every time you get sacked and you're in a big group, oof, people aren't going to
Yeah.
be too happy with you. But then again, guy's a bit of a magician, so who knows?
Now, fellas, I don't want to stir the pot here, but I've been to Thailand. Are happy endings off the table? That's no dice? Yeah, actually, no comment. No comment.
You're not catching us there.
We've almost been canceled before. We're not going to do it this week. Okay, here we go. Question number 2. We're gonna tame things down a little bit with this one. It's the Lions versus the Jaguar, the battle of the cats. Which kitty's gonna come out on top? The Lions, they've been playing some pretty good ball, and the Jaguars, I don't know if you guys caught that game last week against Baltimore, but Trevor Lawrence showed some nuts there, and they go for 2 to win that game. So both teams kind of frisky right now for their little kitties.
Why did they do that? Walk me through the football mentality there. Why not just go to overtime with like an extra point?
So I think, and if Stobo has anything, I'll let him jump in too. But basically, for the Jaguars, first of all, you're going against the best kicker of all time, Justin Tucker, in overtime. So you basically need to score, or you're going to be in tough there. And the Jaguars, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. Why not do some risky plays? And if you can upset a team with a heroic ending like that, why not go for it? That's kind of the mentality there. But
Yeah, I mean, how ballsy is your coach? I mean, the Chargers did the same thing last week. It's if they got the cojones on them, you might as well. I mean, 4-7. That was to get them to 4-7. Give your fans something to cheer about. They haven't had anything to cheer about in 7, 8
Fair
years.
enough.
So Hanker, one of the things that teams are doing, and you probably hear this from time to time on like Pardon My Take or something like that, but if they're down 2 scores and there's only a certain amount of time left, they'll go for 2 on the first one, because then if they get it, they just need to kick a field goal if they're able to get another touchdown and win the game. And if they miss it, they can still tie the game if they get 2 on the next one. And the percentage odds of going for it twice and getting at least 1 are pretty good.
Makes sense, yeah.
But this week was weird because, yeah, as Stobo said, the Chargers did the exact same thing. Like, teams are just kind of getting a little more ballsy, a little more frisky. And I guess, if they've got good goal line red zone packages, and you're confident, why not go for it? Like, some teams, I remember the Steelers a couple of years ago. I think their kicker might have got hurt for a period of time or whatever, but they were going for 2 every time. It was literally like, we're just going to keep going for 2. And that was when they had Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. Like, they had a bunch of guys that were pretty good there. So anyways, that's number 2. Number 3, we're rolling into, does A.J. Brown, wide receiver from the Eagles, record over 70.5 receiving yards? So they're up against the Titans. The Titans just got roasted by the Bengals. T. Higgins put up a pretty big day there, so we'll be seeing that one. Stobo, I know you said you're in a couple fantasy leagues. Do you have AJ Brown on any squads?
I don't, but I mean, this is the redemption game. Like AJ Brown got traded from Tennessee late last year in the draft, so I mean, he's going to be coming out just wanting to do something. So I think it'll be a good one.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I stuck this question in there. To be honest, the 70.5 is a pretty modest line in my opinion. Like it's what you're getting on the betting sites, but to be honest, like 100 would have been more in the realm for me in this one because they're going to be targeting them like crazy for that revenge aspect. I mean, they'll probably I reckon the first play of the game might be a little bubble screen to him or something like that, just to say, hey, here's a catch against your former team, let's go make it happen. So there you go, 70.5 on that line. Again, you don't listen to the pod, you don't always know this stuff, you're not going to get this inside information. Question number 4, we're gonna stick to the fantasy on this one. Who has more fantasy points on the day between Alan Lazard and Christian Watson? So this one we're doing standard fantasy points, so no points for catches. It's simply yards and then touchdowns scored. But again, Stobo, either of these guys on any teams?
No, but man, like Rodgers, fractured thumb. He thought he punctured his lung last week. He's got such a bad rib injury. So both these guys are deep threats. So it's how's that game plan going to play around these two receivers? This one's a toss up. I have trouble when I look at it. So
Yeah,
should should
it's a bit of a coin flip. Hanker, I don't think you have either of these guys, do you?
No, I've got Lazard.
Watson?
Lazard. I was trying to. I don't know. I watched like a whole bunch of YouTube videos in prep for my draft, and everyone's like, he's the only receiver Rodgers has. I went big on the Rodgers bandwagon this year because I stacked him and Aaron Rodgers, and it's just not been going well. And I also have Kirk Cousins. I mean, the other thing that fucks me every week is I don't know which one to play, Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, and I always get it wrong. Like you can go back through. If you want to know who played better in a given week, just ask me, and it's the player I did not start. And then and Lazard, like whatever. I mean, guys, I guess had one or two good weeks for me, but this Watson guy looks like he's the real deal.
Yeah, they drafted him as a rookie, and he was actually their second rookie. They took Romeo Dubs, who got hurt. He actually might be back this week, but yeah, Rodgers might not play. Jordan Love might be under center. Christian Watson, though, I mean, he housed one with Jordan Love under center. The guy's just been racking TDs. It's crazy, but yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see how that plays out. So on to number 5. This is, I think, the first time we've had a question like this in here, but I went with which of these division rivals, so there we go, Hanker, division rivals, and actually right now it's the best division in football record-wise. Nobody's below 500. But which of these division rivals turn the ball over first? Is it going to be the Commanders or the Giants? So this one, you're picking the team that's going to commit the interception or the fumble, not the defense that forced it, the team that commits it. So which one's going to turn the ball over first?
On downs, does that count?
Yeah, we could. I'll actually chuck that in there. So if they go for it on 4th down and don't get it, we'll stab that in there as well. But again, you're picking the offense that fumbles, interception, or goes for it on 4th and doesn't convert. So that's Giants Commanders on that one. And then we got the big bad over. I think the trend lately, at the start of the year, is definitely a lot of unders, but the overs back on big time. So I don't know. We'll get to the lock of the weeks later. I have been struggling mightily, but I might have to jump on an overs train here. We're going the Raiders versus the Chargers. So the Raiders just played an electric game in Seattle, probably the game of the week. As far as actual good quality content, not necessarily the teams you'd want to be watching this time of year. And then the Chargers, in their own right, had an unreal game against the Cardinals, came right down to the wire going for 2. Both those games, I think the over would have been in play. So this week, the line 49.5, and we've got Chargers Raiders there.
Yeah, and I mean this one, like the Raiders, just like when is it going to be? When are they going to finally turn into the team we're waiting for? I mean, they're seventh in yards per game, 10th in points per game, and they're sitting at what 4-7 or three
Yeah.
and eight, whatever it is. Like you're just waiting for that pop on both these teams. I mean, the Chargers is 6-5, and people had them top three before the season started. So
And I mean the crazy thing with the Raiders snuck in, backdoored their way into the playoffs last year, and then they had arguably the best wide receiver in the league, and Chandler Jones, and you're like, okay, these guys are going to be legit, and that division was supposed to be incredible, and sort of them and the Broncos have been definitely disappointments. The Chargers, I think, are always going to be one of those teams that you can kind of have faith in, and they'll end up blowing it for you somehow. But yeah, it's interesting for sure. On to number 7. So again, this might be the game of the week coming up.
Yes.
It's the Dolphins and the 49ers, and we're going who has more receiving yards on the day between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So these guys are teammates on the Dolphins. Both have been amazing this year. They're making Tua have an actual legitimate case for MVP, which is hard to do. So you're picking the cheetah or the penguin there. I like that question for sure. Stobo, were you lucky enough to land either of these guys on any of those teams?
I got Tyreek in the one, so that's been panning out pretty well.
Yeah, he's just such a mismatch, and honestly, I've watched a bunch of the Dolphins games. I do, I'm a Bills fan, so obviously rivals, and they beat us that first one. I'm looking forward to that matchup coming up in a couple of weeks. But with that much speed with both of those guys, you just see Tyreek Hill comes underneath the formation in motion, and like the defenders have to be ten yards back, or they're just gonna get burned. And then it's an easy little check down for Tua most of the time. It's pretty tough to defend. I don't honestly know how you do it. So
We
those,
actually did this exact face off. Maybe it was touchdowns and not receiving yards. And I can't remember what week it was. It might have been the one against the Ravens, like that really exciting game that was like, I don't know, like each team had like 40 points. Um, and Waddle, I think, just had the edge slightly. So they're both, and I think they're both well over 100.
yeah, I think you're right, Hanker. I know we did have this exact same question in there before, and yeah, I think Waddle. I could be wrong, but yeah, they were both over 100, and Waddle might have snuck it out. So there you go. That's number 7. Number 8. This game is no slouch either. The 4, fellas, if you're having troubles at home and the lady doesn't want you watching football all day, you definitely want to carve out some time for the 4 o'clock games because we've got the Chiefs versus the Bengals. Question 8. This is a rematch from last year's AFC Championship game where the Chiefs honestly dominated them the first half and then kind of put the snooze on and fell asleep. And the Bengals came back and won and went to the Super Bowl. Obviously, they didn't pull it out there, but yeah, this is that rematch. Jamar Chase sounds like he's going to be back playing for the Bengals, so I'm excited to watch this one as well. So you've got the Chiefs Bengals there. Number 9, and again, we're sticking with that game. It's who's going to have more passing yards on the day between Joey Burrow, quarterback for the Bengals, or Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Chiefs. So again, two guys, two of the top guys. Mahomes is probably number 1 in the league. Burrow's been pretty good, and he's getting Jamar Chase back. So if the Bengals are going to pull this out, that Burrow's definitely going to have a big week. So that's question 9 there. Question 10, Hanker. I removed the touchback question. It was Old Faithful for a while. It was actually bringing in some pretty good content because we were flip flopping. It's been on a real yes train, and so we pulled it out. But we're keeping the kickers in this one. So we've got will any kicker on Sunday doink one off the goalpost, and then the kick is unsuccessful. So if it hits the goalpost, grazes it, and goes in, that's not gonna count. It needs to hit the goalpost and be unsuccessful. So we're looking for a doinker here. Yes or no?
Do you?
Fellas,
I
any memorable doinkers?
um. So I not off the top of my head. I was just gonna comment like, would anyone dare in Vegas make some odds for this? I can't be like, is it that hard to do? Like you just go figure out. It's not like a stat that is recorded, so it's you'd have to do a little bit of research
I was
and then just
wondering who's watching it all. You got
yeah.
odds on your kick.
I just wonder because I mean it's like the obvious gut reaction here is like no. I mean that's not going to happen. It rarely does, but I don't know how many have happened this year. Like it's just not a stat that's super readily available. It might not actually be that unlikely.
Yeah,
Well,
there's missed field goals all the time, and you can bet on that in Vegas. But yeah, they don't necessarily consider it going off the post and not going in. But I'd be interested to know, and you might be able to honestly like Reddit or Google and find something.
I mean, here's one. If it double doinks and goes out, are you giving them
Mhm.
two?
The old double doinker.
You get 2
Yeah,
points.
that would be yeah. We'll
Maybe
give you two
Jensen.
points there. But yeah, that would be
Yep.
a yes for that one. I mean, last week even, or just last night, the Monday nighter, that Matt Wright hit the post, but it went in, so that one counts in this. It's got to stay out. But I mean, the guys now, more posts do get hit. I don't know per week. It was like the shutout question last week, though. Shout out me, sick question. Saints get shut out. Let's go. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I'd venture a guess that it's happened 3 or 4 times this year already for sure. That some a kicker's
There
hit
was
the
the
post.
double doinker in England too, right? I can't remember who it was. I think it was the Lions, right? Lions.
Two times.
I can't remember. So it was a double doinker in England, and everyone was fired up. So obviously, big kicking culture over there.
FIFA, mate. Shout out to our soccer fans.
Ooh.
Canada done? Do they play again or are they out?
They
Yeah,
play
they got Monaco, I think, or was it
Morocco.
Monaco? Morocco.
Morocco? But
Doesn't
but they
matter.
can't advance, right? Like even if they win, they're out.
No.
Okay. Well, it was cool for Canada to get in. Probably that's kind of cool.
And we
Maybe
host it next time.
we host it.
Us in the US. And I think Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're just the
BMO.
throw in there, but that's kind of sick.
We get like 4 or 5 games, I think, in total. So, don't quote me on that, but we get a few.
Does that mean like a whole group would play in like Toronto? No, definitely not. Just
I don't know how that works. I can't imagine they'd be shipping them off much because there's only 2 or 3 days between games. So I'd imagine, yeah, you get a group.
and this feels like the most just what I've watched. I've been down a rabbit hole of like scumbag FIFA moves and just how harmful it is to the countries that end up, taking these things on. And it sounds like Canada is really not doing that much. This is probably the most realistic plan. If you're like a project manager, you're like, oh, okay, we just need to add 10,000 seats to BMO Field. And
Yeah.
then the one in Vancouver, they're like, they're not really going to change anything. Just paint the lines on the field and away we go.
So right now it's in Qatar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're like super hardcore religious and stuff. Like you can't drink, and they don't like gay people. Is that right?
Yeah, and 400 people died building the stadium they came out with today. The
Yeah.
stadiums.
I would say like you can almost maybe not maybe the drinking stuff you can almost empathize with, like okay fine you don't want drinking. The gay rights stuff is pretty brutal. Like I think it's a death penalty still there.
Yeah.
And then the bigger crisis is like all of their immigration law that essentially traps people in the country to work, and they can't fucking get out because they take their passports. So it's basically slavery they've got. So all these like Bangladeshi people come over with nowhere else to go and just succumb to heat stroke and die. And it's
Oh,
like a fucking 50 degrees there all the time, so it's ridiculous that you'd want to play a sporting event in an outdoor stadium.
yeah, that sounds shitty. I know, like PFT from PMT was just there. I think right. Him
Yep.
and Donnie Wonton Don went over. So yeah, that's wild. That's basically where I found out anything about Qatar. Didn't know much about it before, but And 400 people died building the stadium. Is that what you're saying, Stobo?
Building the stadiums, yeah, it came out today, I think.
And is that
Oh.
just the number that Qatari government was like, yeah, it was only 400. It's probably like, unfortunately, more.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay, well there you go. Question number 11, and I know where Stobo is going to be leaning on this one. It's the Sunday nighter. It's, will Ezekiel Elliot record a rushing touchdown? So it has to be a rushing touchdown, can't be a passing or receiving touchdown. They're against the Colts, who for some reason are getting an odd amount of primetime games. I guess they thought they were going to be better than they are, but there you go. Ezekiel Elliott record a rushing touchdown. And that brings us to our first mate question of the week. Number 12, take it away, Stobo.
Alrighty. So this week I tried to do something a little different and kind of did a question relating to a couple states that have a lot of history against each other. So our question for the week is, which state will score more points on Sunday? Will it be Texas, which has Dallas and Houston, or will it be Pennsylvania, which has Philadelphia and Pittsburgh? Now, each of these states have like a powerhouse offense. Dak coming into Dallas has been great. Philly's great. And two teams struggling on the offensive side with Pittsburgh and Houston. So, I mean, it really shapes up where it's going to be a pretty close one. I really hope I don't create a push somehow in this scenario. But that's pretty low chance, hopefully.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Who are they playing? So I know Houston is obviously going against the Browns, the revenge game for Deshaun Watson. We've got Dallas against the Colts in the Sunday nighter. So that's Texas. Who do the Steelers play? Do you know?
Yeah, so Pittsburgh's playing the Falcons. And
Okay.
then Philly's got Tennessee. So you kind of got Philly. They're all kind of right there. They got kind of mediocre defenses. Tennessee's been playing pretty good, but I mean, should be good.
Yeah, okay. I love it. I love it. So with that wraps up our week 13 slate. Some fun questions this week. I think this is one of the better weeks question-wise that we've had, so I'm excited for that. Fellas, do you want to get into the land ho locks? You guys got something in mind?
I got one last sort of trailing thought on the first mate question. You get one food item from either of the states. Which state are you going with, and what's the food item like,
Ooh.
that they're famous for?
I'm going Texas barbecue. A little brisket.
Yeah, I think like they've got the Southern barbecue on lock. I think the one that comes to mind for me in Pennsylvania is the Philly cheesesteak,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I have had the pleasure of having in Philly, and it's incredible.
Yeah, I've never had a Philly cheesesteak in the US, so I mean I'd be tempted to do that, but
Do you know?
I,
Do you know what it reminds me of though? Is like I'm all gung ho about Philly cheesesteaks. We went to Miami last year, and like the whole time I'm like, oh, Cuban sandwiches. We're gonna get cubanos. You guys are gonna fucking love this. It's pickles. It's two kinds of pork. It's unreal. We go to this place, and it's the saddest, shittiest Cuban sandwich ever. And that's just now Hayes and my brother and Liam's like perspective on a Cuban sandwich. And they're like, "Are you an idiot? Like, you've been excited about this the whole week. I don't even want to finish mine."
it was fucking trash. We were so hungover. We had to get like our like a
Yeah,
PCR test or whatever, so we could get back on the flight or whatever. And anyways, Hanker's like, yeah, there's this Cuban sandwich place. It was literally like whatever the meat is, like ham or whatever they put on cheese that's not even melted, mustard.
yeah.
It's like not even toasted. There's nothing good about it. I'm like, if I was like had no groceries at home, this is the sandwich I would like scrounge out in my fridge, basically.
Yeah, and do you remember the Cuban Uber driver? And I like looked up and because he didn't speak a lick of English, so I'm like Google Translate, like "Donde este la mayor cubano?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "All right, yeah, fair." He doesn't care.
uh,
Yeah,
Love it, love it. Okay, so I think I mean you can't go wrong either way. Philly cheesesteak sounds pretty good. Obviously, big Texas barbecue. You're not leaving there hungry. Okay, let's get into the Landho locks of the week. Stobo, if you're ready, why don't you kick us off, big guy?
Yeah, so mine might seem a little biased. The jersey doesn't help my pick from the list this week, but Ezekiel Elliott's had touchdowns in each of his last 4 games, except for the 2 he kind of missed in the middle there. He's been a little goal line powerhouse, so I got to go with Ezekiel Elliott, touchdown scorer on the running game. I'm gonna lock it in.
I love it. I love it. So just to paint the picture here, Hanker, you went on a little bit of a run. Ruthie helped you. Ruthie
Yeah.
almost seemed like the
Oh my
biggest
God,
genius of all
heartbreaker.
time, picking the underdog Cardinals to beat the Chargers, and they were in control of that game pretty much the entire time.
Yeah.
Lose at the end on the 2-pointer. I was really hot to start, and I've now missed 4 in a row. So this is my get right week for sure. I'm going to go next here, Hanker, and I'm going to lock in A.J. Brown over 70 and a half receiving yards on the day. We got to hit this. It's that revenge game. He doesn't like the Titans. They're going to be feeding him. Let's go. A.J. Brown over 70 and a half receiving yards. Hanker?
Nice. I noticed you went out of order there because you knew that's what I was going to take too, wasn't it?
I needed one, baby. Had to
Yeah.
get back
We're
on it.
so you are 500, right? You're 6-6 as of last week,
Yeah.
and I am 7-5. So possible. It
5
was
and
almost
7. 5 and 7.
yes, 7 losses and 5 wins, right? That's how you do it. Yeah, 5-7. So almost like knotted it up at 500 in week 12, and then that extra point really crushed the dreams there. Okay, well then I gotta figure one out here because that's what I was gonna do was AJ Brown. Yikes. Let's go then. I've already kind of Here's what I'm gonna do. I have Alan Lazard, so I am gonna say that Christian Watson will have more fantasy points because whatever I say, usually the other thing, one is going to work out for me here. I haven't seen anything to suggest that Alan Lazard all of a sudden has a great week. You could maybe make the case that maybe things are different with this Love guy who's coming in, but he's already pretty much clearly indicated that Christian Watson's his favorite option already. So I think Rodgers is still questionable. Like he might play, but he'll probably just get hurt again and leave, and then it'll be Watson and Love Watson, but not the kind on the massage table. I'm saying Christian Watson more fantasy points than Alan Lazard.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Hanker, we can't lock that one into our parlay. Is there anything else? I was going to take the over in that Chargers-Raiders game, but I really wanted to make sure I got one this week, and I think A.J. Brown's the lock. Do you have one that you want to slap?
That'll be my for the bet 365. I will do that. Yeah, so we'll have the over in the Raiders Chargers, Ezekiel Elliott for one, and then AJ Brown just over 75 receiving yards, which he probably gets in the first quarter. Nice pick. How to just set your own line and
love it. Love
I
it.
had the over circled 10 times too, so we're all on par with that one.
Okay, there we go, fellas. I like that for sure. Hopefully, because we've never actually hit one of these Landho lock parlays. We've never hit one. So
I think we got it.
Combine, Hanker and I, not the best records. I'm 500. He's one below. You sprinkle in, we've had a wild string of guests. You're probably one of the ones who maybe knows football. You're in 4 fantasy leagues. You've broken your leg at a game. You know how to crash your car. You've been there. So you probably know football a little better than most of the guests. But so hopefully this week that changes. We start December with a bang. Again, we're going to add the $40 from last week's winner, Big Al's Booty. That's me. Into the pot this week. So an extra 40 for that weekly winner. And then it's a fresh monthly slate as well. So remember, if you have the most points in the month, you're also going to get paid out there. So fellas, with that, anything else you want to add, talk about, anything going on in life? What's happening?
Got a good week of games. I'm excited, man. I think that Lions-Jags is going to be game of the week.
Ooh.
The Lions, man, 2 games that they haven't either won or lost by less than a score. So they've been keeping it close all year. So that's my game of the week. I'm excited.
Okay, the kitty cats. And like, if a jaguar and a lion meet each other in real life somehow, is a lion winning that fight? Like, they're the big cat, right?
Let me
I,
just do a quick pound for pound on this one. I will Google average weight of a lion
I
I
think
think the
is.
Bengal tiger might be the biggest one, the Bengals, but I don't know. Jaguars, like, they're in Asia, eh?
oh,
Jaguars.
they're all over.
Oh, really?
So a jaguar uh, will get as big as 96 kilograms, called 100 kilograms. A lion will get 190, so essentially double the
So
weight
let
of
Okay,
me
like a
go.
so
lion.
Second part though, Jaguar bite force 1500 psi, Lion 650. So it's got two
Oh.
and a half times the bite force. So one a
Whoa,
little.
did you just have that one at your fingertips?
I heard about this a while ago, so I googled
Did
it
you?
over here quickly.
Okay, so P- ha- who's measuring this? Who's got a like a
you just stick
gauge?
your hand out.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's
You know
1500.
what? Just looking at like the picture, you can kind of see how that might be. Like the just the volume. I think that's larger in the jaguar's mouth. Maybe there's just more jaw to bite down on. But I think
Yeah,
the lion's beating you up on just getting on top of you
That's a
and
big
biting your neck.
okay. You do you remember that show? There used to be a show, I think it was on Spike TV, and they like had animals fight each other, like not in real life, Mike Vick style, but like they did a simulation, like if a you know polar bear meets a lion in the wilderness, who's winning, kind of thing. So that'd be interesting. I don't know. The bite force the weight's obviously a huge one, but do Bengal tiger. Can you look up Bengal tiger? I want to know who the best cat is. And I guess there's panthers too, right? Carolina. Is a panther
Yeah,
and a jaguar pretty similar?
like the Panthers like a black Jaguar or something.
Okay.
Bengal Tiger size or bite force? What are you looking for?
Well, both. Hanker, you maybe go size, and Stobo go bite force. We're gonna settle this here for you guys tonight. We're gonna
Bengal
tell you.
Tiger. Oh, sorry, cut you off.
No, all good. We're gonna just tell the folks what the most dominant cat in the NFL is tonight.
What we're here for. Bengal Tiger 1050 psi, right in the middle.
Okay, so still less
and
than the Jaguar, but more than the Lion. And weight wise,
essentially
Bengal.
essentially the same weight as a jaguar. So
Okay,
basically, a jaguar with less psi's is
son
what
of a
we're
gun, eh? So it's
concluding.
almost the weakest in the
You
kingdom.
know,
Yee.
perhaps there's like a euphemism here in these two teams as well, where you have I don't know who's the favorite, but the Lions maybe a little more presence. Probably the cat you'd pick, but the Jaguar half as much punch is going to come and surprise you with how hard it can bite. So I don't know. You could probably spin that into some NFL Sunday special. Like it sounds like you're on ESPNA's. I have no idea how the teams are actually.
Okay, well, this game is in Detroit. It's Stobo's game of the week, but right now the Jaguars a 1.5 favorite. So
Really?
they're leaning the Jags. They think that PSI big bite is going to come to play. I love it. With that, we done? Do we wrap it? Do we do any Deshaun Watson jokes? Do we end with any Deshaun Watson? I feel like we didn't rub too many of those out at the start of the
We
show. So
we did not. We kept those off the table.
and Hanker, I swear we're not doing this podcast to get you canceled, but you used to be a Browns fan. Any comments, concerns, anything? Jacoby Brissett playing pretty good. I mean,
I just like the so can't imagine I can't imagine playing in a professional sports setting, period. Deshaun Watson's like what, 25 years old, I think. 24 maybe. It's not that old, is he? So like maybe he's young enough where his whole like career has just been one big controversy. He's just used to it. But I can't imagine like how you would be able to tune out all of the shit that's being said about you and go out there, rightfully so, the thing that are being said of you, go out there probably to a sea of, it's in Cleveland, a sea of booze, hopefully, but
Yeah,
probably not,
not
unfortunately.
Cleveland, buddy. They're cheering.
So, God, like, and then his first game, on the road, which I assume would be next Sunday. Uh, how do you function under that? You have like people, you know, very upset with you, yelling and just a drowning out anything you can think about with booze. I don't know how you really play under that. So I'm curious to just watch this one to see what the crowd does realistically.
Well, this game's at Houston.
Oh, it
So they're
is.
on, yeah, they're on the road. So what I and Houston is where he used to play. So I mean, I imagine it'll be a lot of booze coming back. Now, as far as a matchup goes, Houston, you can't really dream of a better matchup to come back to. Their
Yeah,
Swiss
like that
cheese
wasn't
defense.
planned at all.
Yeah, he was originally supposed to be back for the game 2 weeks ago against the Bills, but they extended his suspension or whatever. I looked it up. So he's 27 years old. The one thing I'd be curious to know, and it's kind of, they try and give you a bit of insight with these teams. They do mic'd up now. They do a mid-season hard knocks that follows one team. So like you can see some of the in the locker room stuff, but like how do the players feel about this? Because Jacoby Brissett, good guy. He's been playing well. He's a likable guy, obviously. He goes out. I forget, some guy got an end around last week, and Jacoby's lead blocking and like pancakes this little cornerback for the touchdown. It was pretty sick. But now you get this guy who's getting paid guaranteed money. He's been a good quarterback for sure, but it's like he's got all this stuff swirling around. He's going to be making more money than anyone on the team. Like, is the locker room already divided with them? Like, there's got to be a little bit of that to play in there.
It's gotta be. I
Yeah,
mean, Houston's gonna rip them apart. The signs that are gonna be in that stadium are going to be nuts.
it's not. Yeah, I mean, and rightly so. Like and that's kind of one of the things with sports. You like that you can, get away and have these outrageous signs and all this stuff. I don't know how they're going to handle the broadcast, but hopefully it's someone good on the game, and hopefully they show some of that stuff because it's kind of what makes it entertaining. One of the clips, and we can maybe end after this, but one of the clips, and it's not Deshaun Watson related. It's almost the opposite of Deshaun Watson in the NFL. It's Russell Wilson. Can't have sex till marriage. The whole shebang there. Broncos country, let's ride. But he goes over, and one of his defensive players comes off the field, and Russ says something to him. Did you guys see this? He says
Yeah.
something
Heard
to the
about it.
defensive
Didn't
player,
see it.
and the guy gets in his face and is like ready to like slug Russell Wilson in the chops. He's so mad. He's like, "You piece of shit! Like, fuck you! You guys are fucking brutal!" Like, so it can happen to a guy like Russell Wilson, who was a great quarterback, comes to Denver, obviously is having a horrible year. They're definitely not living up to the expectations. But this is a guy who you'd think, oh, okay, everyone likes Russell Wilson coming into the year, and he's lost the locker room. So I can't imagine with Deshaun Watson getting paid a ton of money, already on thin ice, like how the team's going to respond if it doesn't go well early. So it'll be interesting to see.
Does winning just fix everything though? Like if he goes undefeated and they slip into playoffs, is it
It,
everyone loves him?
it's
Probably.
sad to say, but yeah, I see Stobo's nodding his head too. Like, yes is the answer. If you win, somehow things like that just they become forgotten. It's you're a winner. You
Yeah.
know what? Maybe you deserve the hand jobs. I don't know. Bring your towel, but.
And with that, thanks for joining us, Stobo.
Yeah, we better cut it there. Maybe cut the
Yeah,
last
Yeah.
30 seconds.
it
I'll
was
give
pretty
you a
entertaining.
zip and we're out of here. Yeah, that wow, mateys are another great week in the crow's nest. It was week 13, and we're gonna be walking the plank with Deshaun Watson and the Browns going to Houston. Shiver me timbers and Goodbye. See ya.